What if I told you that Nigeria's richest bachelor disguised himself as a poor gateman in his own mansion, and the only woman who treated him with genuine kindness was the housemaid, who had no idea she was serving meals to the man she was falling in love with? Daniel Adelek was tired of being loved for his money. At 38 years old, he had everything a man could want. A net worth of $5.8 billion from his family's telecommunications empire, mansions across 3 continents, connections to presidents and kings. But he had never experienced something most poor people took for granted: genuine human connection. Every woman who came into his life wanted the same things: the lifestyle, the luxury, the status of being Mrs. Adelek. They would smile at him at galas, laugh at his jokes even when they weren't funny, agree with everything he said. But Daniel could see through it all. The moment he mentioned a business loss or a bad investment, their smiles would falter. The moment he suggested a simple date instead of an expensive trip to Paris, they would make excuses. His last relationship had ended 3 months ago when he overheard his girlfriend, a famous Nollywood actress, on the phone with her friend. "Of course I don't love him. Have you seen his belly? But have you seen his bank account? Girl, I can manage kissing him if it means I get that black card." Daniel had walked away that night and never looked back. But the pain stayed. The loneliness deepened. One evening, sitting alone in his Ikoyi penthouse, drinking expensive whiskey that tasted like ash in his mouth, Daniel made a crazy decision. He called his most trusted friend and lawyer, Tunde. "I want to disappear," Daniel announced. "What? Guy, are you okay? Do you want to fake your death or something?" "No, I want to disappear from my life. I want to know what it feels like to be nobody, to be poor, to be treated like I'm worthless. I want to see how people act when they think I have nothing to offer them." Tunde was silent for a long moment. "Daniel, that's the most insane thing I've ever heard. And I've heard you pitch business deals that sounded crazy. But this is different." "I'm serious, Tunde. I'm going undercover in my own mansion." "Your mansion? How?" Daniel's plan was simple but brilliant. He owned a massive estate in Lekki, a property so large that he rarely visited it himself. His mother, Mrs. Adelige, lived there with a full staff: a cook, 3 maids, 2 drivers, and a gateman. Daniel had bought the property for her 5 years ago when his father died, but he only visited once or twice a year. "The gateman just quit last week," Daniel explained. "My mother mentioned she needs a replacement. I'll apply for the job." "You want to be your own gateman?" "Daniel, your mother will recognize you immediately." "My mother is in London for the next 2 months visiting my sister. By the time she returns, I'll have figured out what I need to know." "And the staff. None of them have ever met me in person. I've always sent my assistant to handle things. They've seen my pictures in magazines, but I'll change my appearance completely. Grow a beard, cut my hair differently, wear cheap clothes, change the way I speak. They'll never suspect." Tunde shook his head. "This is madness." "But I know that look in your eye. You've already made up your mind." "I have. And you're going to help me." 2 weeks later, a man named Emeka showed up at the Lekki Mansion gates with a worn-out bag and a humble smile. He was dark-skinned from sitting in the sun, makeup, had a scruffy beard, real. Daniel had stopped shaving, wore faded jeans and a plain shirt bought from Balogun Market for 2,000 naira, and carried himself with the quiet humility of someone used to being overlooked. The head of staff, Mama Caro, interviewed him at the gate. She was a plump woman in her 50s who had been with the Adeleke family for over a decade. "So, Emeka, why do you want to work here?" "Ma, I really need this job. I have family back in the village depending on me. I'm a hard worker. I don't cause trouble. Just give me a chance. I'll prove myself." Mama Caro studied him suspiciously. "Do you have a police report?" "Yes, ma." Daniel, now Emeka, handed over documents that Tunde had carefully prepared. Everything was legitimate. They'd just created a false identity. "Where were you working before?" "I was working for a family in Aja, but they relocated abroad, so I lost the job." Mama Caro sighed. "Okay, we'll give you a trial. Your salary is 35,000 naira per month. You'll open the gate, wash cars, and help with general compound work. Your room is in the boys' quarters. No bringing women here. No drinking alcohol on the compound. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma. Thank you, ma. God bless you, ma." And just like that, Daniel Adelek Billionaire, businessman, one of Africa's most eligible bachelors, became Emeka, the Gateman.
The first few days were harder than Daniel had imagined. His room in the boys' quarters was tiny, just a bed, a small table, and a standing fan. The bathroom was shared with the drivers. The food was simple: rice, beans, stew, nothing like the gourmet meals he was used to. But the hardest part wasn't the physical discomfort, it was the invisibility. People looked through him like he didn't exist. When he opened the gate for visitors, they didn't say thank you, they barely acknowledged him. When he washed the cars, the drivers would inspect his work and criticize every spot he missed, speaking to him like he was too stupid to understand basic instructions. "Emeka, are you blind? Can't you see there's still dirt on this side?" "Sorry, sir, I'll clean it right away." "Useless man. Poor people never know how to do anything properly." Daniel would clench his fists behind his back, reminding himself why he was doing this. This was the reality for millions of Nigerians. This was how the world treated people without money or status. But then he met Joy. Joy Okafor was 26 years old and one of the 3 housemaids working in the mansion. She had been there for 8 months, and unlike the other staff who were always complaining or gossiping, Joy worked quietly with a smile on her face. The first time she spoke to Daniel, he was struggling to carry heavy bags of rice from the delivery truck to the kitchen. The bags were 50 kilos each, and Daniel, who worked out in gyms with trainers and protein shakes, was discovering that real manual labor was different from lifting weights for aesthetics. "Emeka, wait, let me help you." Joy's voice came from behind him. Daniel turned and saw her small frame, simple face, bright eyes, and the kindest smile he'd seen in months. "No, Ma, I can carry it," he protested, trying to maintain his gateman persona. "It's not, Ma, it's Joy, and look at you sweating like someone poured water on you. Come, let's carry it together." She grabbed one end of the bag, and together they carried it to the kitchen. It took them 4 trips, and each time, Joy chatted with him freely, asking about where he came from, how he was settling in, whether the room was comfortable. "Mama Caro can be tough sometimes, but her heart is good," Joy explained. "Just do your work well and don't give her trouble. She'll like you." "Thank you, Joy. You're a very kind person." She laughed. "Kind? It's just normal behavior. We're working people together. We should help each other." That phrase struck Daniel. We're working people together. For the first time in his life, someone had included him in their group. Not as a leader, not as someone above, but as an equal, as someone who struggled just like they did. Over the next few weeks, Daniel observed Joy carefully. She was different from everyone else in the compound. When the other maids gossiped about Mrs. Adeliki's expensive lifestyle or complained about their salaries, Joy stayed quiet. When the drivers mocked Emeka for his ways, Joy defended him. "Leave him alone. The boy is just trying his best." She would save extra food for him from the kitchen. "Emeka, come and eat. I know Mama Caro doesn't give the gateman enough food. Take this and keep it in your room." She taught him shortcuts for his work. "If you do it like this, the generator will start smoothly, and when you're washing the car, use a little detergent powder with the soap. It'll shine better." And slowly, without realizing it, Daniel started looking forward to seeing her every day. The way she hummed gospel songs while sweeping, the way she smiled at him when she brought him food, the way she treated him, a poor gateman, with the same respect she would give to anyone. One evening, as they sat outside the boys' quarters after work, Joy sharing roasted plantain and groundnuts with him, Daniel asked her, "Joy, why are you so kind to me? Most people in this house look at me like I'm nothing." Joy was quiet for a moment, then she spoke softly. "Emeka, do you know what poverty really is? It's not just about not having money. It's when people look at you and decide you don't matter, that you're not a human being like them, that you don't deserve respect." She turned to look at him, her eyes serious. "I grew up on the streets. I know how much it hurts when people treat you like garbage, just because you're poor. So I promised myself that no matter where I am in life, I'll always treat people well. Rich or poor, we're all human beings." Daniel felt something crack open in his chest. This woman, this poor housemaid, earning probably 30,000 naira a month, had more wisdom, more humanity, more genuine goodness than all the rich women he'd dated combined. "You're a special person, Joy," he said quietly, his voice natural and unguarded. Joy noticed the change in his speech but didn't comment. Instead, she smiled and nudged him playfully. "You're not so bad yourself, Emeka. Your proper English comes out sometimes when you relax." Daniel's heart skipped. Had she noticed? But Joy just laughed and stood up. "Let me go and rest. Tomorrow's work is plenty. Good night, Emeka." "Good night, Joy." As he watched her walk back to the maids' quarters, Daniel knew with absolute certainty he was falling in love, not with a socialite or a model or an actress, but with a housemaid who didn't know he was a billionaire. And for the first time in his life, Daniel was terrified, because when she eventually found out the truth, would she forgive him for the lie, or would she feel betrayed and used? He didn't have answers. All he knew was that tomorrow he'd wake up eager to see her smile again, to hear her voice, to feel what it was like to be loved, not for what he had, but for who he was. Even if who he was currently a lie.